Bill Cosby was the greatest influence because he was on I Spy. And
early 60s.
In 66.
Yeah.
So when he came on TV, he was the first black person that had a speaking role. So I'm looking at this dude, he talking to white folks and telling them what to do.
Right.
And then Muhammad Ali was out here.
Right, okay.
Saying, I am the greatest.
Right.
So I had worked, we had the same birthday, man.
Right.
So I adopted Muhammad Ali as my mentor.
Right.
In my head. And when I met him for the first time, I cried for 30 minutes, non-stop. I got the 2 pictures of my heroes. I met Richard Pryor. I got the picture the day I met Richard Pryor, and I had a photo the day I met Muhammad Ali. And I'm in tears in both them photos, because they meant that much to me. That Muhammad Ali talking to white people the way he was talking to them, calling rounds, I am the greatest. The thing he said that stuck with me the most was, he said, I said I was the greatest before I was the greatest.
Wow.
And that etched in my brain. So that's what taught me to manifest things before it happens, I would say all the time. And so those were the 2 greatest influences in my life, man, that pushed me to want to follow that dream and pursue it, you know.
You didn't know what you wanted to be on television. You just wanted to be on TV.
I had no idea. Okay. I didn't even think it was comedy. I knew I was quick-witted as a child because my mama used to take me to church on Friday nights to get me prayed for, because there's something wrong with this boy. Because this boy just say whatever on his mind.
Right.
I couldn't cut it off, Shannon.
Right.
If you said something to me, I said something back.
Right.
And what I had to say was pretty sharp.
Right.
And I got a lot of ass whoopings for that. I got put in the principal's office for that a lot of times. I just couldn't cut it off. My mama thought something was wrong with me. I didn't know that was my gift.
Right.
But I didn't know how to harness it. I didn't know how to work it, man. And I was just firing it off. It took me until I went to Kent State and a girl named Ida Washington, who married one of my best friends named Wayne Knowles. When I was a freshman, she was a sophomore. She sat me down, she said, Steve, can I talk to you? I said, yeah. She said, why did you come to college?
Would you say, good question?
Yeah. I said, I don't know. It's free. She said, you don't belong here.
Wow.
She said, you wasting your time. She said, you don't even belong here. She said, you don't know it, but you're gonna be a star one day. Wow. And I went, what? She was the first person that ever told me that. I was a freshman sitting there going, that sounds good, I want that, but I have no concept of how to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And then, as a freshman, I heard Richard Pryor album. I was listening to Want It. And then I went and got everything Cosby did, everything Pryor did, and then in 1976, Pryor came out with Bicentennial Nigga. And that album, I memorized everything. Everything.
Every joke he said on the album.
Everything. So when the dudes was in the room getting high, I'd get a chair, stand up in the chair, do Pryor, do Cosby, I'd do stuff I had written. But I still didn't know it was comedy at that time.
So when did you start writing jokes? Okay, you fell in love with Pryor, you fell in love with Cosby, you know what they did. So when did you start writing jokes and started morphing and moving in that direction?
Well, it was by accident really, because a comedian named A.J. Jamal was a friend of mine. And he worked at IBM and I worked at General Electric. And he was doing comedy, but I didn't know what that was. And he would come to me and say, hey man, I wrote this joke, what you think? Because he knew I was funny.
Right.
And so I would correct it. I would say, no man, say this, this, and this.
Right.
And he would give me $10 every time I gave him a joke. So I'd make an extra $40 a week.
Right.
You know, I'm going like, yeah, it's 1980, man. That's cool. I didn't know what he was doing with the joke.
Right.
I'd never heard of a comedy club before.
Right.
I'd never heard of how I could be a professional comedian. And then one day I was over his house turning these jokes in, and this girl named Gladys Jacobs was there, and she said, you the dude that's writing these jokes for Jamal? And I went, yeah. She said, he the funniest comedian at the comedy club. I said, really?
with your jokes.
Yeah. I mean, he wrote his own,
Right.
but I wrote some.
You helped.
And I was going, what? What you talking about? She said, at the comedy club. He the funniest one. I said, what are you talking about, comedy club? She said, you ain't never been to no comedy club? I said, no. She said, why you writing them jokes for him? Why don't you do them yourself? Now I'm 26, about to be 27.
Okay.
I got 2 kids, twins. I'm struggling. I'm lost. I still don't know what I want to do. But that I want to be on TV was just in the back of my head, you dig? So she said, I'm going to pick you up Tuesday night and I'm going to take you to this place called Hilarities Comedy Club. And I want you to see what they do. So I went down there, she picked me up, we rode 40 minutes down to Hilarities.
Is it in Cleveland? Where is this now?
It's in Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio, okay.
Cuyahoga Falls,
Okay.
Ohio.
Okay.
Right between Cleveland and Akron.
Gotcha.
Now, that's down there right by Kent State, too.
Okay, yeah.
I go in, and she say, sign up for next week. So I sign up. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'm sitting down there, and I'm watching these comedians go up. And it's 10 of them. It's amateur night.
Right.
And I'm not laughing. She said, why you not laughing? Because I'm rewriting all these jokes.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not, I'm sitting there going, man, he should have said this. He should have said that. And finally got to number 10, and they call this guy's name, and he ain't there. And they call his name again, and he ain't there. And they said, well, he's not here. We're going to go to next week's list. Give it up for Steve Harvey. Now I'm eating a chicken wing, and I hear her say, give it up for Steve Harvey. I turn to her and say, it's a dude in here got the same name I got. She said, you a stupid son of a bitch. She was a hood chick. She looked at me, she said, you a stupid son of a bitch. She looked at me so disgusted. You just a stupid son of a bitch. And I guess I was. She said, that's you. And they kept clapping. They said, where's Steve? And she said, here he is.
Uh-oh.
He said, Steve, come on up. I just ran up on stage, man. And I was just standing there. This room full of all whites.
Uh-oh.
And I said, hey, y'all, listen here. I ain't even supposed to be here. I'm on next week's show. And they started laughing. You know, white people laugh different.
Yeah.
You'd have said that in front of black people.
They'd have moved
well,
you up.
why is your ass
It's
here?
up- yeah, exactly. Why are you up there?
Immediately. But white people thought it was the joke.
Right.
And then I was lost, man. I didn't know what to do.
Right.
She said, tell them about when you was boxing. She just hollered out. So I was telling her on the way down
Right.
about this dude named Bernard Taylor that I had fought at Golden Glove.
Uh-huh.
And it was a big dude, and it was a whole joke about how he had punched me one
Right.
time. And he didn't have nothing but a left hook. He didn't have nothing but a left hook to the kidney.
Right.
That's all he had.
Right.
You could whoop his ass the rest of the fight, but if he got that left hook in, he was gonna crumble your ass.
Right.
And he got it in. And I imitated how he got in the ring because he was pigeon-toed. These white folks was dying laughing. So they got a laugh, and then I said, well, man, I got a laugh. Let me keep telling jokes. So I wrote another joke for Jamal that I hadn't sold him yet.
Right.
And back then, I can't do this joke now, but it was a joke. This was 85.
Right.
It's a joke about AIDS,
Right.
which was perfectly acceptable back then.
Then.
Nobody knew the horror of it. It hadn't quite.
Okay.
So I did this joke, and they was dying laughing. Horrible joke. Completely horrible.
Right.
Distasteful, everything. Knowing what you know today.
Right.
But then, died laughing. I walk off stage, they bring all 10 of us back up. They have a clap off. I win the clap off. I win $50.
You hooked.
An agent came up to me and said, man, how long you been doing this? You've been at this about 3 years, huh? I said, yeah. Say, I looked right at him and lied. I ain't had no problem. I got the $50. I'm driving home 40 minutes. I'm crying the entire ride home.
Right.
Gladys looking at me, she said, what you crying for? It ain't but $50.
Right.
I said, you don't understand.
Right.
I went to work the next day and quit my job with $50.
So that was the moment that you said, okay, this is what I want to do with my life.
I ain't got nothing else. This was the brightest light bulb ever came on for me. That light bulb had never switched on better for me at nothing. Lincoln Electric, General Electric, carpet cleaning, rib joint, Amway products, Shackley products, Dick Gregory Bohemian Dye, A.L. Williams Insurance, Commonwealth Insurance. I had all these jobs.
Right.
The light bulb went off. I was born that night. And I went to work the next day and quit my job. Came home and told my mama I quit my job.
Uh-oh.
She tried to talk me back into it, told my brothers. They said, man, you crazy. Created a lot of problems with my ex-wife. That wasn't her fault, man, that was me. I shouldn't have been nobody's husband at 24. I made a lot of mistakes, right? But I told my father, and my father again said, well, boy, if you think you can make it, go ahead. And so that was it, I struck out.
You lucky, because a lot of fathers back then, it was like, if you went to school, you did school and you came and did what the father did.
Yeah.
Or you dropped out of school and did what the father did.
Yeah.
Your dad was very unique, Steve. I don't know if you realized it at the time, but you probably do now.
Yeah.
He encouraged you to follow your dreams.
Because my daddy was funny, man. He told me one time he came to see me, I was selling out arenas. You know, my father told me, he said, boy, I could have done this shit you doing, I'd have did it. Look at you. My father would cry all the time. Look at it, he'd come to shows, man. My mother never saw me live because my mama was saved.
Right.
She didn't want to hear me cussing.
cussing.
Yeah, can't cuss. My daddy, he came down there for the cussing. My daddy was down there cussing with me. My father.
So, go ahead, finish your story.
My father was in front row one time in Mississippi at the DeSoto Center. He
Okay.
came to see me, him and my brothers. And he turned around, they was laughing. And this lady said, you laughing real hard at this show. He said, you know who the fuck that is up there? That's my boy. I made that motherfucker right there. That's my little motherfucker. That motherfucker come out of these here. I said, this motherfucker down here. That was my father, man, was a hard ass cat. But he was the one that encouraged me the most, man.
He did. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we do something before two something.